Apple is planning to temporarily source more iPhones from India to send to the United States in a bid to offset the impact of President Trump's tariffs on China.
Samsung has been reducing its dependence on China, shutting down factories since 2020.
Behind me is inventory piled up in the warehouse. About 50% of it was meant for export to the U.S.
Borrowed millions just to fulfill orders for the U.S., and these shoes were supposed to make money. But because of the tariff war, everything is stuck in my hands.
China's factories are emptying out, and the world is watching a manufacturing empire collapse in real time. Once the unstoppable engine of the global economy, China's manufacturing sector is now in crisis. Major companies are jumping ship. Apple is ramping up iPhone production in India to sidestep Trump's tariffs on Chinese goods. Samsung has already closed one of its biggest phone factories in China, ending all smartphone production there. Even global toy makers are packing up, pouring billions into Vietnam as China fades from the spotlight. A lot of money is moving out of China and into other Asian countries. It's so bad that even Chinese businesses are now building factories outside the country just to get a piece of the action. In cities like Guangzhou, factories are shutting down suddenly. Some workers have left in the middle of production. China used to be the #1 manufacturing country. Today, that business is shrinking quickly. But why isn't everything in China as bright and promising as we're often told? Why are giants like Apple and Nike leaving a country that was once their dream factory? Let's break it down. For decades, China was the undisputed global king of manufacturing. If it had a barcode, chances were high that it said, "Made in China." From smartphones and laptops to clothes, furniture, and toys, China produced nearly 35% of the world's goods. The country was the engine room of the global economy, keeping shelves stocked, supply chains moving, and prices low. But something dramatic is happening. That dominance, once thought unshakable, is now under serious threat. In fact, what we're witnessing could mark the beginning of the end for China's long reign as the world's factory. Factories are shutting down. Major companies are packing their bags. The very pillars of China's manufacturing empire are beginning to crumble. One of the clearest signs of this shift came when Samsung Electronics shut down its Tianjin factory in China, which used to produce 36 million phones a year. Production is now ramping up in Vietnam, where Samsung already manufactures over 240 million phones annually. This is a shocking result because China used to be the major manufacturer for most phone brands, but that has now ended. That alone was a headline moment. Even Apple, once deeply tied to Chinese supply chains, is shifting production to India, marking a symbolic break from its long-standing reliance on Chinese factories. It's not just electronics. The decline is visible across various industries. Take furniture manufacturing in Guangzhou. Entire factory floors are going silent. Half-finished products, like pieces of fabric still sitting on sewing machines, paint a haunting picture. A sector that once brought in hundreds of billions of dollars in exports is shrinking fast. It is the same situation with clothing factories, which are one of China's major exports.
His factory originally had orders scheduled through the end of July, but now over 6,000 down jackets have been put on hold, and their ready-to-ship products are piling up in the warehouse.
For many businesses, China is no longer the land of opportunity. It's becoming the land of losses. So what's causing this sudden change? Why are major companies like Apple and Nike turning away from a country that used to be a manufacturing dream? It comes down to a few key reasons, and one of the biggest is labor costs. China once offered the perfect formula: cheap labor, a massive workforce, and a government that made setting up factories easy. But those days are gone. Over the last 2 decades, China's economy grew at a staggering pace. This lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty and created a fast-growing middle class. That's a great success story, but it also meant wages went up. A lot. Back in 2013, a typical factory worker in China earned about 52,000 yuan per year, roughly $7,200. Today, that figure has jumped to more than 122,000 yuan, or about $17,000 annually. That's a massive 8-fold increase. In comparison, a factory worker in Vietnam earns around $3,600 per year, and in India, it's even lower, roughly $3,000 annually. This huge wage difference is making it hard for manufacturers to justify staying in China. Many companies are now setting their sights on India, Vietnam, and other Southeast Asian countries. But wages are just part of the story. There's another problem. China's young people no longer want factory jobs. China's youth, even amid high unemployment, are steering clear of factory work. They see it as low-paying, repetitive, and unappealing, and prefer jobs in tech, finance, and white-collar industries instead. There's a growing mismatch between the kind of jobs young graduates want and the kind of workers factories actually need. This has caused labor shortages in some parts of China, driving wages even higher. In response, the Chinese government, under President Xi Jinping, has been urging more students to consider careers in manufacturing. But the reality is, it's not working. But labor isn't just an economic issue, it's becoming a political one too. The government's solution has also raised eyebrows. Critics say the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, is using censorship and harsh measures to control the narrative. People who speak out against government policies online risk being blacklisted on China's social credit system. Once blacklisted, you can't get a job, rent an apartment, or even buy a train ticket. It's a form of punishment that silences criticism, and the CCP spends heavily to keep negative stories from spreading, especially outside China. But labor isn't the only challenge China is facing. The ongoing trade war with the United States is making things even worse. It began in 2018, and what started as a few disagreements has turned into a full-blown economic conflict. By 2025, the US was slapping tariffs as high as 245% on some Chinese goods. China responded with its own tariffs, some reaching 125%, and introduced bans on certain US companies and products. These back-and-forth tariffs are hurting global businesses that rely on China for parts and products. Electronics is a good example. Many of the chips, batteries, and displays used in phones and computers are made in Chinese factories. With tariffs now sky-high, the cost of making these products has soared. That means higher prices for consumers around the world. And for companies, China is looking less and less like a cost-effective place to do business. Adding to all this, China still hasn't fully recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic. When COVID-19 hit, global supply chains collapsed, and China was at the epicenter. The government's strict zero-COVID policy shut down entire cities, locking millions inside their homes for weeks. Production lines froze, and foreign companies watched as their operations vanished almost overnight. When things finally reopened, many companies began asking hard questions. Why had they become so dependent on one country? What if it happened again? This realization triggered a wave of diversification. Businesses around the world started looking for new locations, places where they could spread out their supply chains and avoid being caught off guard in the future. Years later, the aftershocks of COVID still haunt China's economy, reminding the world how fragile the China First model really was. China's economy in 2025 is slowing down, and the signs are becoming harder to ignore. The World Bank now expects China's GDP to grow by just 4.5% this year. That's a noticeable drop from 5.2% in 2024, and a long way from the double-digit growth China once enjoyed. This slowdown isn't just on paper. It's being felt across key sectors like real estate, manufacturing, and trade. To put it into perspective, manufacturing once made up about 30% of China's GDP during its industrial prime in the early 2010s. Fast forward to 2025, and that number has dipped to around 26%. With a GDP estimated at 127 trillion yuan this year, roughly $18 trillion, that 4% decline translates to a staggering 5 trillion yuan, or about $700 billion. That's the equivalent of losing the entire economic output of Bangladesh and Vietnam combined. And that's just from manufacturing's shrinking footprint. In Guangdong province, a major industrial hub, Factory worker unemployment reached 6.5% earlier this year, up from 4.2% in 2024. That's not just a labor statistic, it's a social crisis in the making. Job losses are spreading across cities and towns, and local governments are scrambling to cope with the fallout. While some areas, like retail sales and industrial production, have shown unexpected growth, China's trade performance tells another story. Exports rose slightly by 3.4% in the first 2 months of the year, but imports dropped sharply by 7.3%. That suggests Chinese consumers and businesses are spending less, and global demand for Chinese goods remains shaky. A big part of the problem lies in the real estate sector, which once drove a huge portion of China's economy. Now it's dragging the economy down. Real estate investment has dropped by more than a quarter, down 20% to 30% from its peak in mid-2021. Major property companies are in trouble. Country Garden, once the largest home builder in China, posted a loss of nearly 13 billion yuan, or around $1.75 billion, in just the first half of 2024. The company's revenues have collapsed by 55%, and it's trying to cut 78% of its debt, leaving creditors with just 22 cents on the dollar. Meanwhile, Evergrande, another real estate giant, has been forced into liquidation by a Hong Kong court. With real estate suffering and consumers holding back, China is also struggling with deeper social and demographic problems. The population is aging quickly. By 2035, nearly 40% of Chinese citizens will be over retirement age. This means fewer workers and more people needing support, an imbalance that could make economic growth even harder. To manage this, the government has started raising the retirement age and is trying to improve the skill levels of younger workers. But even the younger generation isn't having an easy time. Youth unemployment is a major concern. Official numbers say it's around 16.1%, but some researchers believe it could be as high as 46.5%. There are even reports that some local governments are pressuring companies to create fake jobs just to make the statistics look better. That kind of manipulation doesn't fix the problem. It only hides it. And it shows how seriously the leadership fears unrest among frustrated young people. Adding to the pressure is a mountain of local government debt. Some analysts estimate that hidden or off-the-books local debts now total about 14.3 trillion yuan, roughly $2 trillion. To manage this, Beijing has approved over 6 trillion yuan, about $820 billion, in new borrowing across 3 years to help local governments pay off their obligations. This move may help avoid defaults, but it also adds more strain on the central government's finances. And here's where this all comes home to you, the consumer. As manufacturing shifts and supply chains stutter, the result is higher prices on everything from electronics to clothing to home goods. Smartphone prices alone have jumped by an average of 12%, while apparel is up 8%. And it's not just the cost, it's the weight. Shortages of rare earth metals and other components mean you could be waiting months for an electric vehicle or other high-tech gadget. So, who's moving in while China stumbles? Vietnam is wasting no time. As of March 2025, it raked in nearly $11 billion in foreign investment, a 34.7% jump from last year. That's not a coincidence. Giants like Intel and LG are ramping up production there. Even Lego is going green in Vietnam, building a $1.3 billion factory powered entirely by renewable energy. It's fast, politically stable, and increasingly tech-savvy. And it's not just t-shirts and sneakers anymore. Microsoft and Foxconn are betting big on high-end electronics in Vietnam. The country is climbing the tech ladder quickly. From apparel to semiconductors, Vietnam is shifting from being a backup plan to becoming the plan. But let's not leave India out of this industrial reboot. Apple and its key supplier Foxconn are jointly reshaping India's manufacturing future. Today, 1 in 5 iPhones is made in India, a massive jump from just 1% 2 decades ago. This transition has shifted over $22 billion in production value away from China. Now Foxconn is doubling down with a multi-billion-dollar megafactory in Karnataka, cementing India's role as Apple's next big supply chain hub. And Apple isn't the only tech giant shifting strategy. Samsung runs one of the world's biggest phone plants in Uttar Pradesh. India's got the numbers, young, cheap labor, and the policies to match. Programs like the Production-Linked Incentive (PLI) scheme are pulling in international manufacturers across sectors. And it gets juicier. Chinese companies, spooked by rising hostility toward Beijing, are now building factories in India. Yes, China's own firms are hedging their bets on foreign soil, trying to stay in the game even as the home field turns hostile. Meanwhile, Mexico is playing a completely different game, and winning. Its secret weapon? Geography. Being next door to the US, the world's biggest consumer market, gives it an edge no Asian country can touch. Goods made in Mexico reach American store shelves in just days. That's huge when supply chain speed matters as much as cost. But cost matters too, and here's the kicker. Mexican manufacturing labor is now cheaper than China's. At just $4.90 per hour versus China's $6.50, Mexico offers a golden combo of affordability and proximity. Add in the USMCA trade deal, zero tariffs with the US and Canada, and it's no surprise Tesla, Ford, and GM are expanding in Mexico. Even the tech sector is moving in, with companies like Flex and Jabil doubling down on electronics and medical device production. We're not just watching countries diversify supply chains. This is a full-blown remapping of the world's manufacturing hubs. China's factory of the world status is being broken apart, piece by piece, and redistributed across Southeast Asia, South Asia, and North America. These new players aren't just cheaper, they're cleaner, smarter, and more digitally integrated. So here's the big question. Can China reinvent itself fast enough to stay in the game? Or will the next industrial revolution be led from the buzzing factories of Bengaluru, the assembly lines of Hanoi, and the high-speed corridors of Monterrey? The global economy isn't waiting to find out, and neither should we. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't fall behind.